Let's talk about these GDP numbers that came out overnight. All excitement in the mainstream media about this V-shaped recovery. Wow, these numbers are fantastic. We've got third quarter growth that is just off the charts. 30% growth, 33% growth on an annualized rate. Holy smokes. You had all of the White House staff members running out to the South Lawn of the White House to tell us how great it was. Stick with us. It's a V-shaped recovery. President Trump out on the campaign trail yesterday telling us how great the whole thing is. Stick with me. Business opportunity, growth, it's all here. And this is exactly what happened in the third quarter. Amazing GDP growth. What you're looking at to prove how large this gain was, note that the prior record-breaking GDP report was 16%. This was 33%. This is the biggest growth in any quarter in American history. Nearly 70% of GDP, of course, in the United States is driven by consumer spending. The amount of money that's spent by you. But of course, there's a big thing that is missing in all of this data, and why you cannot believe the mainstream media when they want to spin these numbers, is that what's missing, of course, is that the cost of goods have gone up. The cost of things have gone up. That's not factored into this. So yes, you're spending more because you're being forced to spend more. You're buying more things that cost more. That is a big piece of this puzzle. In primarily everything that's been driven here, it doesn't account for the rising cost of things. We're spending more right now because we have to. The cost of things has gone up about 3% overall. So I'm sure you've noticed this, right? Gas, milk, eggs, housing prices, by the way, everything has gone up. But the problem is we're bringing home less money. So we can get super excited about this 33% growth, which by all accounts is fantastic. But to put this in perfect context, we are really nothing has changed. We're really at like a 0 point. I was tweeting about this yesterday. You get excited about this, but really we're kind of back to where we were. And by the way, this is the same as at the height of the Great Recession. The Great Recession numbers for us, this is exactly where we were. October of 2009. So we all want to talk about this spinning recovery, V-shaped recovery. That's what we were hearing all day yesterday for the mainstream media. Well, I guess it is a V-shaped recovery, and they were putting their graphs and charts up on the screen that show a V-shape. But of course, what that V-shape data doesn't show are all of the people that have been left out of the system, who have filed for unemployment benefits in this last week, which, by the way, has remained consistent. Over the past few months, the number of people filing for unemployment benefits or leaving the labor market is about 800,000 to 1 million people. It's consistent and not improving. These numbers don't reflect that. These numbers also don't show you how many businesses have now gone under. We've given you the Yelp data in the past few weeks as to how many businesses have now gone under. 163,000 businesses have collapsed, and more happening every day. Drive down Main Street and just see how many businesses have now put up boards on their walls or on their windows, and they're closing up shop. And now, by the way, so many businesses are putting up boards on their windows anyway because of Election Day. We covered that in the newsletter this morning. Businesses are getting ready, almost like hurricane preparedness. They are worried about having to close down because of looting and people going crazy after Election Day. So no one's gone shopping. People are ordering online, but they're paying more for things. And people overall are bringing home less money, or they are working longer hours and making less money, or they're having their hours cut, but they're being asked to do more work, just like in the case of Walmart, which we brought you yesterday. So those employees who are being asked to work less at Walmart, but then also work more. So fewer hours, but having to do more unpacking, more lining the shelves, more of everything for less money, less time. Then you want to look at the housing market. So we look at the latest housing data, and it is off the charts. So we are in the middle of a housing boom. But all of this to say that this recovery right now is a wealthy person's recovery. This is a recovery for wealthy people. The top 15%. The people that can go out and buy a home right now. The housing market is booming. There's a V-shaped recovery for those people who have a job. For those big businesses like Apple and Google and Facebook, who reported earnings over the past 24 hours and saw fantastic growth. Google was almost trying to downplay this yesterday. It's kind of funny to actually listen to their earnings calls. Google was basically trying to kind of downplay it, almost like, yeah, we did well, but we don't want to really talk about it because we know a lot of people are suffering, is the way that it came off. So yeah, we had record profits, but maybe we shouldn't really bring that up. Facebook as well. Apple's Mac sales were a record. That's because people are buying laptops like crazy because they have to. Remote schooling, they're being forced to work from home, live at home, school at home. So they're buying MacBooks and other computers. So Apple's sales still wasn't as high as expected, but still pretty darn well. And like I said, Apple sales for MacBooks hit a record. But recent data on the housing front is showing that the U.S. housing is going gangbusters. Sales of existing homes increased by 9.4% in September to 66 million units on an annual basis. It's its highest level since May 2006 right now. It's primarily driven right now by the usual suspects in any kind of market. You have supply and demand, but there's serious challenges looming for those low-income homeowners. So you're going to see a wave of foreclosures coming in 2021. Make no mistake about it. This housing boom is only benefiting the wealthy. Those people that can afford to get a mortgage, those people that can decide, I'm going to leave the big city because, pandemic here in the big city. I'm going to move out to the suburbs. That's why you're seeing bidding wars unfolding in all of these suburban areas right now. Hey, but you can buy a house for $1,000 if you want. You want to buy a house for $1,000? This just goes to show you how ridiculous things are and how out of whack things are in this economy right now. So all of these banks, all Wall Street right now is salivating over the idea of all of these foreclosures, right? These predatory banks that are just sitting there waiting for people to lose their homes. They're waiting. They're licking their lips. As soon as you're not able to pay your mortgage, and they're going to swoop in and buy them up. We've already seen Invitation Homes buying up a record number of homes, building and buying as many homes as they can get their hands on right now because we have an affordable housing crisis in this country. So we were a nation of renters to begin with. Now, it's going to explode and be off the charts. But now you too can buy a house for $1,000. Take a look at this. This is in Detroit. Yeah, you can go there right now and buy a house for $1,000. We covered this in the newsletter this morning. If you're not a subscriber of our newsletter, you should be. You can subscribe and get it delivered to your inbox first thing in the morning at morninginvest.com. But here is a house in Detroit. I think this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, if I'm not mistaken. You can buy it for $1,000. Now, I've renovated thousands of homes as a real estate investor. I can tell you that this home, just looking at it, it's daunting. You might say, oh my God, I would never touch that home. For me, as a guy who is a real estate investor, I would say, oh, look at this home. There's a lot of work that needs to be doing, some masonry work here. We've got some front steps work, not too big of a deal. Scrape that, paint that. New soffit repair, etc. And then inside there's water damage, new drywall. There's probably roof leaking because there's water damage on the ceilings. We got to fix the roof, update the roof. Who knows what the heating condition is, furnace, etc. All of that, probably all brand new stuff throughout the whole thing. So you're looking at $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 total renovation. So if you buy it for $1,000, you're still in for, doing a proper renovation here, $30,000. But this is what Wall Street's waiting on, folks. This kind of stuff. Grabbing these types of properties. But I want to warn people, you get excited about this kind of stuff as a real estate investor. And the reason that these homes are so cheap, in fact, in many ways, they should be giving them to you. And they should, in some ways, the city should be giving you a $15,000 stipend to fix it up. Because the whole neighborhood is like this. So yeah, you fix up your one house and then you're dealing with all these burnt out hovels and empty houses all next door because the entire city is disgusting and collapsing. This happened before with Detroit. We remember what happened in the inner city part of Detroit. It was a city that filed for bankruptcy a number of years ago. This is the richest country in the world. And this is happening? Where you can get a house for $1,000? And make no mistake, there are 500 of these homes available for that price. Investors are going to swoop in there, and these things will be gone in a heartbeat. And here's what's going to happen. It's exactly what happened in 2008. They're going to sit on these homes because they're not going to be able to find the quality contractors. This is what happened. They swooped into Tampa. They swooped into Indianapolis. They swooped into Vegas. And they bought up these homes that were decrepit, that needed work. And they thought they were, and all these investors poured millions of dollars into these hedge funds to go in and buy hundreds and hundreds of homes all over the country. And then what happened was that the hedge funds were like, okay, we want to start repairing these homes, but guess what? We can't find contractors. Oh, crap. We can't find affordable contractors. And now the prices are going to be out of whack. It was price gouging. It was crazy. So they didn't repair these homes. They just sat there vacant. And then they started getting fines from the city. Hey, the high grass, weeds, graffiti, all of this stuff popping up. And then what happens is they were getting like $1,000 fine every month. And so they just let them go back to the city and tax sales, and they sold them off to other investors. So they sat there vacant for years. Because all of these Wall Street guys get excited about this type of stuff, and this is what happens. So you want to tell me about a record-breaking third quarter GDP growth? That's fantastic. Businesses going under, hundreds of thousands of people still filing for unemployment every week. No stimulus, but we've got a V-shaped recovery. My ass, we do. Let me know in the comments below if you actually believe these numbers. This is why you can't trust the mainstream media, folks.